Chosen One!
Welcome to The Chosen One, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. This week I am joined by Zion's finest. We got Kenny and we got Sam. Thank you guys for coming on. I definitely was excited to hear your guys' Kiade Mundi Anakin discussion. I wanted to bring Mace into the fold because I think there's a huge contention and they are very similar lists in what they are trying to do.
Yeah, it's awesome. We are excited to talk about it.
Yeah, happy to be on.
So, tell me what really drove you guys to come on to the Anakin with Ahsoka with the whole package. It's interesting not seeing Rex there.
You go first, Sam.
Yeah, so we talked about this a bit in that episode. If anyone that we did, the Stop Panikin Start Camakin episode, where we talked about why we did Snips over Rex, and the idea is that she just really synergizes really well with Anakin and Cam together, being able to on a wound dash Ahsoka with Cam and then dash her again with Anakin's. These double dash triggers can really shoot her across the board, and she really functions well with the force economy of it all, with Cam's identity. And your 5 dice attacks, instead of costing force, are free for the vast majority of the game, unless she gets wounded twice pretty much. So your force economy is better. The synergy is higher. She does have a worse tree. We talked about that Rex has a better tree and he has the range 5. But in this particular list, she just kind of does everything that Cam and Anakin want, like really helps you have those explosive plays. So that's why we settled on her there. But it was no means
Yeah, I could definitely see
us thinking Rex is weak.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see the force economy factor being huge because Anakin is a huge tax on force, especially if he goes down. In my games of playing him, he has done really well, but the second he goes down, the list really can come to a slog. That's
Yeah.
A lot of
positions. That's part of the reason why Anakin and Cam, why they're kind of working so well together in that case, is because if Anakin goes down without, like, if you're running Anakin, anyone else, once Anakin goes down, it does a lot. It really cripples your force economy. I mean, now Anakin's having to spend 4 to 6 force on a turn, right, in order to do his stuff. And even if he's getting some back, that's just a lot. That's a lot to have to commit. So Cam makes that easier. The other thing about Snips too is that she's got deflect, and having ways to just stay up on damage is really important for these lists where Anakin's your only real spike and everyone else is just, good damage, right? Cam has great damage, Shock T has consistent damage, but you don't really have any other huge players with that. So Ahsoka having deflect, dissuading people from attacking her, being able to get that free attack, like Sam said, those are just, it's like Sam said, Rex is excellent. I just think that in this particular case, we just prefer Snips.
Yeah, Anakin, was it Breath of the Wild or was it the Phantom Menace event that he had actually a pretty good showing?
I think at both he had some X and 1 performances.
Yeah.
Yep.
What a world we live in where Anakin, Ewoks, and bounty hunters like Cad Bane are actually performing crazy stuff.
Amazing. It's so great.
Speaking of bounty hunters, I do want to touch on the fact that Breath of the Wild, the all bounty hunters list with Mando, Cad, IG-88. I saw a player end up didn't he have something like 31 wounds throughout the entire event?
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
I looked at that and I'm like, is this the new killy list of the game? Is this like the new Grievous Vader? And I'm kind of thinking it is. I think IG is going to be a huge threat now.
Yeah, I used to think that I thought IG was just a meme. I really did. And when he didn't get updated, I'm like, nah, this guy is, he is not going to sail. But holy smokes, Sam and JK both have been playing a ton of games with IG, and he just turns it up to 11. I mean, he really does. You think that like the cost of if you don't get wounds, you're going to lose momentum. You're like, oh, that's too much of a cost. You don't have to do it, for one. And also, when you're running in with CAD, you're getting force back every time you get a wound. So it just helps you play with those margins. And there's not really, if you get the wound, there's no other cost. You're not taking damage. You're getting force back. It's real. It is absolutely a real list, which I would never have supposed.
Yeah, I played it last week. I played the full Bounty Hunters list against Dathomirians. We ended that game with 19 wounds.
Oh my gosh!
Between the two of us, it was though Talzin spiking on all her 5-die attacks still allowed her to win, but everything was like leaving the board. It was one of the most kill happy games. I think it's going to be a list to watch out for.
Yeah.
But the Kiade Mundi with Anakin, I love the release of Kiade Mundi. He definitely revigorated my love for playing Republic because I'll get more into it with my Adepticon list. I locked in a Jedi list pretty early, and I was on the fence even before the balance pass. I almost took Anakin. He was close. But in some of the testing I found with Anakin, there is some issues he has that Mace does not.
Yeah.
But with the combo potential, the way I look at it in terms of a comparison, I think Mace has a much higher baseline and Anakin has a much higher ceiling.
That's a great frame. That's a really good frame.
And Anakin Mundi, though, it's a threat. Watch out for it on the board, everyone. And if you really want to go in depth in detail, go watch the Zion's Finest episode. Stop panicking or stop cammicking, start panicking, or whatever you guys call it.
Yeah. The thing is I want to riff on that for a second, Qui-Gon, because I think that comparison of Mace to Anakin is a really good one in terms of like Mace is. So I was skeptical about the Mace even after the fix. I'm like, is this enough? Does this do enough for him? But I've played against him. I haven't actually played with him yet. I need to change that. But I played against him a bunch. And at first it seemed like, yeah, it doesn't seem like this guy's really doing enough. But as we've played more, and especially as people who have more reps have played him, it's really clear that like what Mace is doing is, like you said, he's raising the baseline of your list. He is super flexible in terms of what he can do. If he's on Vapod, he's getting dashes and smacks on Shatterpoint, and he hits super hard and super consistently, right? If he's on Jedi Master, he's healing and he's giving you force refresh, and he's pretty defensive. If you're typically, you can spend some dice or spend some force in order to get more dice, but you don't really even need to unless Anakin, I guess, is wailing into him. So he's got enough health.
I'm gonna spoil something right there. Spending force on his defensive dice is a trap.
I am glad to hear you say that because I'm interested in your take on that.
It is very much a trap. I guess now we can get into the evolution of Mace pre-buff and post-buff with Mundi, and the reason why I locked him in at Worlds compared to any of the other things. Me and a couple other players, we started messaging each other when Mundi got released. We started testing him. We thought we were going to love him with Anakin. With Vader or Jedi Hunter, it was a no-brainer. But what we noticed with Mace is if you are playing Mace and you're setting up that Shatterpoint turn where he gets the impact and the focus, he can have a huge swing turn similar to that of what Anakin's doing now. He's moving extra bodies. He's going to kill something. And if you draw your Shatterpoint too early, you just shuffle it away. It was all about setting up that big attack with Mace. And that's how you play the list. You're using pawns because he doesn't spend force. You're using displacement. And you're using Mace as this heavy damage dealer. The problem with him is his expertise. The one game I did get to play with him at Worlds, he does the 10-die attack into ISB, leaves him on 2 health because Mace's conversion rate on expertise was dog crap. But it set up pawns for a 4-point swing.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
that's good.
but
Yeah.
with the update on Mace, he no longer has to really rely on that Shatterpoint card to absolutely have the output. Now he just does it when he wants. And him being 7 points now, you can and the fact that he moves off of his own Shatterpoint means you do not have to put a character like Rex or Ahsoka with him to fix his movement and fix his baseline. He is always going to move someone. He is always going to punch pretty hard, and he's fast enough now that on Shatterpoint you can double dash from the back line and then do a climb action, and he is direct center of the board on an elevated point. It fixes a huge thing, and by freeing up that secondary slot, you can put in Crosshair, who gives you a second piece for output and allows for more Mundi dashes, and he allows for, if you pull that turn 1 Shatterpoint, you get an Alpha Strike. Where
So Qui-Gon with this list, this Mace Cam list, is like Mace the one? Are you like shattering him every time?
So it depends on where he is in the deck. If I pull
Okay.
a turn 1 Shatterpoint, say it's my first turn, first draw, and I draw Shatterpoint, I'm not going to shuffle it back in the deck. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to dash him. He starts in Vapad. It's the basic pattern. You keep him in Vapad because the Shatterpoint will get him up the board a little bit. I barely ever use him for the 5-die attack. It's just about getting him further up the board. And if I'm getting an early Shatterpoint, I will generally Shatterpoint Crosshair because then Mace dashes, Crosshair gets to go up, climb, get on the Ingress, usually get his deployment shot off, try to wound a support, and he's very likely to wound most supports, which gives you a Mundi dash so you can either move Mace up another time, or you can move Mundi or Shock T up the board and get them in position so that when they pop up, they can actually do something instead of just move and hunker. It's the list is basically Mace, Crosshair, Arfs. Arfs are still really good, and then it's Mundi, Shock T, Philo first. I'm very down on the Padawans. Too many dead activations for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some cool combo plays that you can do with some early shatter points. I've found I've played a bit of Mace post patch, and I've surprisingly kind of liked him on first contact.
He's really good on first contact. The missions you want to avoid with him are shifting and never tell me the odds.
Interesting.
You think you'd play well on shifting. The problem is that there's so many lists right now that can just blitz points way faster than the Jedi lists on shifting, and it makes it, if they aggressively take the whole midline, it can make it insanely hard for you. That's where I think Anakin does have more of an advantage. Is Anakin on shifting, if he gets to wound something, your whole team can move up to the midline, play aggressively. The reason why Mace really works on first contact, it looks like it's all spread out, but there's so many points on the map that, like Sabotage Showdown, one to struggle flip, you're generally going to be in range of some of the points. It's what I've noticed with that map set. And the extra. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add kind of my thoughts on first contact with Mace. That to your point of like, there's so many points. He's always going to be somewhere, but also his protection steadfast bubble will hit a fair amount of points, and because you can place people to contest multiple objectives at the same time, even though only one will ever be active at the same time, it really, you can get some really strategic positions that are pretty well defended that can pressure multiple different layouts, even if your opponent flips the card, like flips the layouts so that they change. But hey, your people are steadfast sitting on 2 points. It's a pretty defensible position that Mace can create. At the same time, Struggle 1, I've really liked having him on the pod where he can
just move.
You can Shatterpoint someone else, but on the Shatterpoint, you on struggle 1, you choose to dash Mace with the Shatterpoint effect. Then he gets his Vapod effect where he dashes again. He can make a 5 dice attack. So you can just really like slingshot him across the board with a double dash and still go with someone. There's some really interesting play that I think he brings to that mission on those two fronts.
The other cool thing with Clever Ploy is that you can put Mace in reserve, which means you can literally go, okay, cool, I can Shatterpoint someone else, Mace gets moved up by Mundi or someone, and you can instantly just set up a huge Mace play. I love Mace on shifting, and it even gets, or not shifting, on first contact. It even gets better when your opponent pulls the Shatterpoint card. I'll automatically stick Mace there because then I will go with Mace early to set up the Shatterpoint attack, and you just get him up the board. My opponent attacks Mace, I'm okay with it. Yeah, he loses no agency by getting attacked and by getting wounded. It's one of his big advantages to Anakin. He's still going to be really hard to one shot. They had to temper down his defense for what he does now. I think Mace is an all-star. The Mace Obi list is really good now. I think Mace is this. I would call him, he's like a jack of all trades, and you can really precisely just play him how you want. And he's probably the most flexible Republic primary at the moment. I feel you can play him in clone lists. You can play him as a enabler for a lot of these like hunter lists, or you can just have him be the cannon. He's really good.
What's your play style, Qui-Gon? Do you more play him as, because my thought is if I played Mace, like when I play Mace, I'm going to play him more as like the defensive support enabler. Like, how do you play him? Do you play him more as the...
Again, to the list with Mundi, it really depends on the list you're playing. If you're playing him with Obi-Wan, you need the force economy to activate the rest of your list and do stuff. So you're generally playing him defensively on Obi lists. Mundi is where you let Mace go on the offensive and really be this Anakin style piece with such a high baseline that he doesn't need to go, I need to try and wound 2 units. Again, you're sacrificing a little bit of the dynamic, I'm going to do the 2 wounds play by giving yourself another output piece in Crosshair. It makes your order deck a little bit more consistent when you have 3 cards in your deck where you can flip up a Shatterpoint, Crosshair, or Mace, and you go, I can take down something when I need it. Compared to the Mundi list where you really have Anakin and Shatterpoint as your kill buttons. Mace just gives you that extra card by being able to take Crosshair, and Crosshair also gives you verticality in a way that some of the Jedi can't do. It equals out to pretty much where the list is doing the same thing, but you're setting up different things. Mace is incredibly, and you can play Mace super aggressively while even in Jedi Master, where he just sustains on the Force Refresh and the heals, but you're still pumping him up to 9 dice. He has 9 damage on 5 steps on Jedi Master, so he can still hit really hard.
That's wild.
And the conversion rate... Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
The conversion rate on his dice are also much better now, with the 1 being 1, 2 to 3 being 2, and then 4 giving you 3. His conversion rate is similar to that of like an Emperor Servant because he's getting the 9 or 10 dice attack. He's going to have a pretty good conversion, and he is more consistent at getting the one shot without having to rely on multiple attacks to actually wound stuff.
That's interesting.
So I do want to challenge that a little bit. So I feel like his force efficiency at getting the one shot is actually worse than Anakin's, and the fact that you must spend typically 3 force versus 2 to do it.
Interesting.
Yes, that is. You do spend more force, but Anakin is also generally spending force on a jump, so that the economy actually equals out there. With Mace's free dash, depending on how you're setting it up, The force economy is about equal. Anakin is more likely to get the kill on something. He does have that because he has 2 attacks, but there are certain
Yeah.
characters in this game that can avoid getting wounded. Anakin is going to hate going into Death Trooper Escort. The Death Trooper Escort is a guaranteed turn off Anakin attack from doing
Yeah.
this thing. You can strain him all you want. He's just going to pay the force reposition and he'll eat the 3 damage to kill himself.
Yeah, that's true.
That's where Mace can really come in play. Mace, if you have characters that can avoid the second attack from Anakin, the extra dice from Mace throwing 10 is more likely to get the job done in 1 attack. It's a lower floor, but it has more of a chance to fail. Anakin has the higher ceiling and just the higher damage output, but instead of throwing everything on, if a character like Grand Inquisitor who has jumps and stuff on his tree, and Grand Inquisitor will generally get that 4 expertise off of 7 defense dice on his defense roll. He can generally get that. It's not outlandish. He can avoid Anakin, and even if you like coordinate fire strain him, I find that against Inquisitor, you really want coordinate fire pin or put a pin on the target beforehand before Anakin tries to come in. Mace can go, I'm going to try to load everything on this 1 attack. And it is a Hail Mary, but it is the most Hail Mary that Mace will ever do compared to the rest of his baseline.
Yeah, I think that's one reason why, I mean, for us, like things like ARFs are so good, because like what ARFs do is they make it so that like Ahsoka or Inquisitors, their expertise jump has to be resolved before you actually get your supporting fire dash. And so that's kind of part of the reason why like Anakin he still requires support in terms of like, so the supporting fire dash lines up these huge plays where they can't really get away from you, right? And I guess like with the Death Trooper Escort, I mean, the way to think about that is like if you do 7 damage in strain, then he eats the strain, in the reposition. That still saves you force. That saves you the attack that you were going.
Saves you force, but it really shuts off what you're trying to do with Anakin. And
Totally.
I will gladly take the single momentum loss than an Anakin moving your entire team and
it's
rearranging the board.
For sure. It's like one of those things where it's like, I think that it is less good, obviously, for Anakin. And maybe as the Empire player, you do take that trade because, like you said, it turns off the board reposition. But it's still like a heavy tax and cost that Anakin is putting on the opponent, right? Where it's like, if you don't do this, like you're going to have to eat this damage. And if you don't, then I'm going to be able to get this swing. And if you eat this damage, wound yourself, yeah, you deny me the force. Yes, you deny me the swing. But then I might be able to go make another attack right into somebody else. And that just like, that's one of the reasons why I love Anakin in terms of his dynamic plays. I think your framing of Mace and Anakin, like Mace with this high, floor and Anakin with this high ceiling is so great because like, that's the thing is like Mace is going to come in and you can pay dice and he can just completely whack somebody. I mean, he's got the same offensive expertise as Anakin.
Yeah.
1 for 1, 2 to 3 for 2, right?
It's the extra dice that Mace gets, and it's the fact that Mace is moving people guaranteed on his turn.
Great point.
Anakin does not want to fight Inquisitor lists. He has trouble going into Reva. He has trouble going into Grand Inquisitor. They can absolutely kind of turn off his kit a little bit. I've done that matchup. It's pretty close to 50-50, but the Inquisitors are probably the one core team that can kind of play around Anakin because Grand Inquisitor will just avoid Anakin. Anakin's not as fast as Grand Inquisitor. Inquisitor can move pretty much wherever he wants by just chucking the saber. It's really good. It's cool that we're in this dynamic of Jedi versus Inquisitors and it's actual dual saber fights. We're in a wild meta.
The thing I do want to know about Anakin's mobility is Anakin's threat is almost the entire board if you have supporting fire dash.
Yes.
That's between his ranged attack.
The other way I'll look at this, Anakin is a hyper carry, and you are definitely building all around him. Mace is less hyper carry and more, he can average out your activations across your whole team better.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do want to know, I've I have them, I think, if I were to do a tier list right now, this could change by the time I actually do a tier list. I probably have them in the same tier, Anakin and Mace in A tier.
I have Anakin in A tier. I have Mace in S tier because right now he has more pairings. He is playing with Obi-Wan, he is playing with Mundi, he's playing with Plo, he's playing with Anakin, he's has just a lot more places he can go and where his activations aren't going to be taxed on anything. He is a huge enabler. Anakin requires specific primaries, I feel, to be really effective. Because Anakin Obi-Wan, while it can work, it's less about Anakin, and Anakin's more just bringing force, and he's kind of a finisher piece rather than you're going to use him to the full effect. He sucks up too much force to be played with characters that aren't Mundi or Lumi or Mace to really be effective.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely requires some form of force economy somewhere, right? Because otherwise, you can just box yourself out of good plays with him. Where if you've had to spend down in order to do your defensive maneuvers, then if you only have one force or two force, but you have to spend one of those to jump, and you don't have Cam around to give you the discount, it's a big deal.
And then I think it's also and you can put Anakin in S tier or Mason A tier. It's all preference. I prefer the higher baseline compared to the more spikiness of Anakin and what Anakin's doing because you have to build around it. You got to have so much out of activation for Anakin to really be effective because one dead Anakin activation, while it might not lose you the game, it definitely sets you back quite a bit.
Oh yeah, see, I think it does lose you the game because Anakin, like you said, he's like the hyper carry, and so much of your resources is put into making him work. And if your opponent, this is why, I don't think Kamakin takes over the meta, is because I think that there are so many ways to play against him that if you are able to shut down his turn, give him a pin and a disarm, I don't know, I don't know how the Kamakin player recovers from that.
That's the other reason why Iden is going to be scary for Anakin. Anakin's going to want to avoid Empire still. Mace can actually play into Empire a little bit better than Anakin can, and that's just because the Empire wounds you. They still press out conditions as long as they're playing Iden. Iden is going to be the crux of most Republic lists. But what Mace and Mundi are doing is that on your first deck through, you only need 3 force for you to do all of your movement shenanigans in Mace lists. After that, you have 5 force that you can go, I'm going to spend on Mace or spend on Force Repulse. And that's without the Shatterpoint Force Refresh off of Mace. You can end up having 7 force where you can just go, I'm going to do whatever I want. So the Empire's advantage of I'm going to wound you early and really mess up your force economy does not impact Mace lists near as much as it will impact Anakin lists. I still can put them up against Empire. If I'm playing against Empire, I'm wanting to take all bounty hunters. I will play the attrition while also have access to 2 revenge triggers of Bosk and Mando.
Yeah, what is your most favorite Mace pair? If right now, who's your most favorite person to pair with Mace?
100% it's Mace Mundi with Crosshair, Shock T, Arfs, and 501st. It is my updated worlds list that I took the worlds that I took that list knowing that I'll put it into any Empire list that doesn't have both Iden and Vader in their premier list. If they just have Iden and the rest of it's like Gideon, Thrawn, I will be happy to shove Mace into that fight because I will only have to worry about the Iden activation. Iden Vader, I didn't want to put Mace into anything like that. That's why I brought Mandos, and I took down 4 Idens at Worlds, and then I got knocked out by Godliness, who is eating better than most people right now because Grand Inquisitor got a huge buff.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear Duncan's pretty good at the game of Shatterpoint. So
yeah, it was fun. It was a fun event. You guys going to be going to the next Adepticon?
For sure.
I'm definitely it's a soft plan right now, but that's the plan.
I will for sure be there, and I will try my best to convince Sam to be there.
It's not not wanting to be there. So yeah, the plan and the hope is to be there.
Yeah, I'm just liking the dynamics of the Jedi right now. I love how they fixed Anakin. He now feels like the chosen one. He feels like everything is hinging on his battle, which is a thematic win. AMG gets massive props. And for Jedi still don't want to see Dark Troopers on the map. I'm gonna say that. That's the other reason why I'm taking Crosshair. Crosshair melts Dark Troopers. Boy, do the clone supports not like fighting Dark Troopers in general.
Oh no, it's immunity to pin against clone troopers is just, man, that is the worst. Because I mean, almost all of them have pin on their first step, right? And you're just like, nope, not going to take it. Yep. Oh, it's so brutal.
Yeah, if you want to play a list where new Luke feels good, play him against like an all clone trooper list, and where then you'll feel like oh, this immunity pin thing is great. But yeah, people who are immune to pin make clones very sad.
Luke is on the cusp of being really strong. He is lacking one thing to really make him work, and it is a 3-point secondary.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Who's not named Luke.
Yeah. Bodhi Rook. Yeah. Come on, man. Make him good, because if Bodhi Rook comes out and he ends up being really good, like, I'm playing Luke Andor at the next GT I go to. That list will be locked in. That list, and the biggest problem I have with it is you have to take a 4-point secondary with Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, any other questions that you guys have for me with the Mace discussion? I've been playing Mace since the game's release, and I've always made him work with 6, but it felt bad.
So this is kind of a thing that I've just always assumed, but has Mace always been just like your favorite character in Star Wars, or is he your favorite character in Star Wars, or is it just like a Shatterpoint thing that you really fell in love with his particular kit?
He's my favorite character in Shatterpoint, but he is in my top 3 favorite Jedi. But really, I'm waiting for Qui-Gon Jinn. I want Qui-Gon in the game.
Of course.
But Mace is up there for me. And so a little history. I played Star Wars miniatures from Wizards of the Coast, and that game had like 4 different Mace Windu miniatures that you could pick from, and they all suck. So Shatterpoint comes out, and Mace is actually pretty good, and I've been stuck on Mace ever since. He is my most played character. Even through Iden days, I'd play him. But Mundi I hate that it's Mundi that makes the Jedi like really good, because what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? I'm like, why couldn't have that been Plo Koon?
Fair.
But
yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, if this is like my current take on the meta is that, or the Republic meta is that Cam is, and I mean, obviously you disagree with this, but I think Cam is the best Republic primary, and the reason why is because
I don't disagree with that. He's in S tier right next to Mace.
Okay.
My S tier primaries are Mace, Kieta Mundi, Iden, and Kanan and Andor right now. That's my S tier. Kanan is still like the king of revenge triggers, and his pairing with Andor is insane. It's, in my opinion, it's vying for one of the best 3 lists in the game. It's really good. And again, it kind of represents the 3 sides of the meta. You got displacement with Jedi, you got revenge with Rebels, and you got attrition with Empire. Like, it's the 3 build types, and they kind of play the rock, paper, scissors game. It's just, I think that's where we are at in meta-wise right now. I think Republic's in a really good spot. I think they're fighting with Empire and Rebels as the top dog.
Do you think that lists like Plo and Cam, like displacement figures like Plo and Barris, and like Plo, Barris, Cam, Shock T. Do you think that those lists are good against Mace? You know, in terms of we've got lots of displacement, so we never really have to worry about attacking him. Or do you think no, he's just going to hit too hard and he can get back into position? I mean, like, what's your thought with respect to those matchups?
Force push used to hurt Mace a lot more than it does now. Now you have enough oomph with either you can just wound with Crosshair to get Mace back in position, a Shatterpoint or a clever ploy can get him back in position. It's still pretty good against him, but if you're wasting resources on Mace, it means Mundi and Shakti aren't your focus, and it means they're going to do what they want to do. It also means that they might not be going after your supports, which is always a better thing. If my opponent's going after Mace compared to any other character, especially now that Mace has a range attack, to add extra movement, I will gladly load up the dice to 8 dice on his range attack just so he gets 2 expertise. It's 2 extra hits. Shove on 1 and 2. He can get back into position fairly easily now. It's not like Paz where he has no out of activation movement. The Force Blast really helps being on his defensive side. Like, if diceless displacement can hurt him, but it's nothing that he can't really handle because you're not with the Jedi list. You're not really relying on the protection steadfast. You're relying on your own diceless displacement to clear points and playing the scoring list. You're using Mace as the battering ram to enable the rest of your list.
Okay. Do you think that like Crosshair is good even without Hunter? Like, are you still okay with?
So my hot take is that Crosshair is better outside of Hunter lists. You want Crosshair with either Kiade Mundi or Luminara. Wounding by itself is good, but getting an effect off of a wound is where you want to be playing pieces like that. In a min-max environment, you really want to. My issue with like attrition pieces is if they can't move people, they're just a kind of a guy to kill someone. And as we saw at Adepticon, like Vader Jedi Hunter kind of didn't have the best showing. Like he did really well with Mundi, but outside of that, he did not do that well.
Yeah.
It's you got to be able to impact multiple points on the board with your primaries, and if you don't have a tactic to move people, or a super hyper aggressive play to take advantage of wound. Why I like Anakin so much. Anakin can take out multiple supports. Anakin's really dynamic. And it is really pick your flavor between Mace and Anakin. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying that they are both basically the same list. They just do their game plan a little bit differently.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, you go, Sam.
No, go ahead, Kenny.
No, you.
So I think that's a good point, and it really speaks to play style and how important that can be in Shatterpoint as the large combo play that like sets up an insurmountable position has kind of been what I have been drawn to since like the start of Shatterpoint. There was like at the beginning there wasn't near quite as much as that, but like early days Grievous would kind of do that where he would just move a bunch of people and maybe wound someone. And then you had like Hera combo plays that can just like put together like an insurmountable position, and like Anakin does the same thing. And like seeing the lines of like having that come together has like, you know, like those have proven to be very strong and also powerful, and they've drawn me to those play styles. Whereas Mace is a more measured approach where you're just getting consistent value, right? That can, and another thing about Mace is he's just giving you, like his identity just gives you a passive benefit throughout the game, and protection steadfast is quite important. Like that really like plays well into other clones who just their damage becomes very minimal, and you know they're only typically doing one shove anyways. So there's a lot to be said for both lists and enabling different play styles.
Yeah, it's Mace. I like how Mace can buff people around him. He's also you can play him as just this defensive battery. It's why I think Obi Mace is better than Obi Hunter. I think Hunter fixing the clones' attack power isn't really that needed anymore with how they buffed all the clones' offensive expertise. Clones are more about being a little bit more tanky rather than the output. I think where Hunter is going to really shine is once we get Delta Squad. I think that's going to be his
Yeah.
new home. And I think it's going to be him and Wolf, paired with either Wolfpack or 212 alongside that Delta Squad box. And that's going to be a new list. Um, it's clones are in a really good spot, but I still feel Jedi are just the better build around. They are more consistent. The Mundi, the like, I'm not big on Barris. She is like the bottom of the tier list for me in terms of like the Jedi. She's too easy to bring down. Um,
Yeah.
the only thing good on her is the fact that she has got force speed and that she has force push. Her attacks are
Yep.
pretty minuscule and she melts.
So I actually want to talk to you about Barrett's with Mace because I'm actually really interested in that particular pairing. And so there's a couple of things here that I think are interesting. I think when you give her protection steadfast, when you give her protection specifically, her survivability goes up by a significant amount. And then by having Mace constantly be able to give her movement, you can set up plays easier where you're getting those extra 2 dice from having her attack someone engaged with Mace, or Mace getting 2 free dice from attacking someone engaged with Barris. It's easier to keep people engaged because Mace is giving that steadfast. And then that's in addition to the dice list. Has that been something that you've like played around with?
So I've done a little testing with Barris under Mace. And my issue is I'm still playing Mundi in that list. If I'm gonna do Barris and Mace, I'm not playing them with Mundi because then I'm noticing I'm getting too much diceless displacement and not enough consistency on the attack front and the survivability front. And my issue with if I really want a full displacement list, I'm gonna lean more towards Kiara Mundi paired with Plo Koon,
Yeah.
which is like the ultimate displacement list in the game, in my opinion. It's where you want to be playing the all force pushes, and you want to be playing that against stuff like Rebels, Kanan, and or just super revenge trigger lists. Also against the Mandalorians, being able to force push pads at will is huge, and be in terms of being
Yeah.
able to shut them off.
Yep.
But I don't like putting so much diceless displacement in the list unless it's the absolute focus, because with diceless displacement, Mundi and Shakti are generally enough. I generally like having my
Yeah.
other team have a little bit more output or a little bit more utility. It's why I like Ahsoka Tano with Anakin. She brings a ton of utility to the
Yeah.
list. And
Yep.
Barris
Verticality and
Barris just becomes a huge force tax by the end of the game. And bringing her down twice she's like paper mache. She just folds to a lot of things, and she's not moving people outside of her turn. And it's a huge detriment
Yeah.
to a list like playing Jedi right now, where you have
That's interesting.
at least 2 pieces that are melee only and don't have a range attack. I think more Jedi should get range attacks. I don't think it's fair that all the Darksiders get them, but not the Jedi. They don't even need to be the strongest things. Like Mace's range attack is pretty mediocre in terms of you're not going to get more than 2 results down the tree on that generally.
Yeah.
Um, it's still just as consistent as Anakin's because Anakin like caps at 1 crit off of his expertise.
Yeah.
But Barris, I've had a love-hate relationship. I love the force push. I love the speed that she has. I don't like the survivability, and I don't like the inconsistency in her attack. So
yeah. So just thinking about Crosshair too. So Crosshair, secondary Crosshair is not a model that I have personally played a lot. As but so So Crosshair he's doing 8 damage on 6 steps, correct?
Yes, and he's doing 8 plus his tactic and 1 on his expertise. He actually can spike at 10 damage.
Okay.
So
he can spike at 10.
And
so he's only needing 5 steps then to wound most supports.
Yeah, and it just
like most 8 health supports.
Yeah, and he is the out 2 Dark Troopers. He has like an 85% chance to one-shot Dark Troopers if you're doing his whole kit. He also brings healing. Cool. The ability he has to remove conditions into shooting at targets that are engaged. He can clear conditions from across the map, which is highly valuable if your Jedi get pinned and strained and you can't really move them, because if you can't move your Jedi, they're not doing anything. He can clear up a lot of conditions, and he can just generally get anywhere on the map because he's going to hit one of his repositions either on his attack from his expertise or he's going to hit it on his tree. So he is double moving with the climb, and he is always throwing 10 dice. He is very solid. One of my favorite secondaries when I can play him. I just don't play him outside of a list like Lumi or Mundi.
I need to give him some more plays. He sounds... Yeah, you make some good points. I've really liked the chip healing that Cam gives. That's just a big deal to keeping your carry units like Anakin or doing their thing, or keeping Mace from being pinned off in a corner after he's force pushed like that. Get a wound, get a heal, get a movement is really handy, and Crosshair seems to be doubling down on some of that, on the wound and heal aspect, like you said. And doing 5 steps into most supports on 10 dice, his expertise, as you said, probably isn't crazy. I'd guess that
his expertise is going to give you 2 crits. That's where you're going to get. Yeah. It's 2 to 3 is 2 crits and a damage. 4 crits is 2 crits and a reposition. He's generally going to get 3 expertise is where he generally lands with 10 dice. But you are also going to probably roll up to 2 natural crits in there. He's really consistent. They basically made him, he's a kill switch. And even if you're playing him with Anakin, he only will ever spend 1 or 2 force, depending if he's wounded or not, to do his thing. And it just makes your order deck more consistent, having another kill button in your order deck. It's one of the huge reasons why I like him by playing Mundi.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in trying him with Anakin too. Because I'm trying to that 85% to kill Dark Troopers just sounds great, and I bet he's got to be a coin flipper better to kill most 8 health supports. So
he's even bringing down
interesting stuff. I need to think about that.
He's even bringing down a lot of secondaries. And the other thing he's doing is against the Republic mirror match, he is taking out Hunkers. And Obi-Wan without Hunkers is
a great point.
Sad boy.
That's a great point.
And Obi-Wan's been really good in this meta. That's an excellent.
The other thing that's been really good with Hunkers in this meta has been Ewoks, and being able to clear the Hunker off of Ewoks, off of the Pathfinders, is very good as well. I'm still baffled by how good 3PO is.
Oh man,
3PO is great now.
He's so good now.
I can't believe he gets scale. I just imagine C-3PO doing the Grievous crab crawl up a wall.
I know, it's amazing.
But yeah, I am still really down. I almost like the 501st more than the ARFs. In the Mace list specifically. The ARFs do not really do much in the Mace list. The dash is you're going to mainly use it on Shaak Ti maybe to get her into a spot where you can reposition and get all the way across the board. You're generally not using them for Mace's attack all that much. You're generally wanting the strength.
Well, it's kind of awkward to Shaak Ti first because her reposition on her tree happens before the supporting fire dash, and if you use supporting fire dash, that means you couldn't have used her fainting blow.
Yeah, it's an interesting kit. I like that you get to choose which one you're doing though, during the steps. You can look at your
Yeah,
team go.
100%.
I'm like, that's the one problem with Coordinate Fire with her. Although Coordinate Fire Disarm with the Handmaidens with her is really funny because she hits 10 damage on 4 results. If she gets
turns out pretty good.
I've done that by playing her with Cad Bane, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to chuck in Handmaidens here. I rate Handmaidens higher than most. I think their ability to score back points compared to other supports is a huge play pattern in this new big map of never tell me the odds and burst contact. They can just get places. I just wish that the Handmaidens as a whole were a better kit. And I'm sad that we're
that they had a playable primary.
Yeah. Like, I'm also sad that Padme doesn't have the Handmaiden tag. I can't make Aura Singh a Handmaiden.
Yeah. That's my biggest wish, I think, for the next balance patch is that Padme gets touched up.
I want Padme and Boosh. I think they're the two biggest ones. Also Hondo.
Hey, you need to try the CAD Cassian list with Boosh. It's for real.
Yeah, I've been meaning to put it on the board, and that list is super solid. I'm loving Andor. I'm loving the Cad Bane world we're living in. I love that I can play IG-88 now and not feel bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But no, any final thoughts? All I can say is everyone play Mace or Anakin. Just don't play them together because it's too much of what you're trying to do. They do not make that great of a pairing. I've played that list like 4 times and it's never quite worked out.
I can see that.
Yeah,
it's like having a team full of hyper carries in your MOBA. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it does not work. I'm glad to hear you say that because I had thought about playing that, but I was like, there are other things I wanted to test with Mace. I think the things I want to test with Mace is I want to test them with Cam and I want to test them with Obi because those just seem like the low-hanging fruit in terms of just getting an understanding for how those lists sit in the current meta. I think like if I were to tell people, if people are saying like, if you want to play Anakin because you love Anakin, you should play Anakin, but also know that like the Kamakin list that we've been talking about, it is not like Iden. It's not like one of those lists. It needs so many reps because like Qui-Gon was saying, Anakin has these really awesome plays, but you have to see them. You have to be able to kind of set them up or execute them. And then he can win you the game. He can just absolutely win you the game. But it requires setup. And if your opponent, knows how to play against it or knows what's coming, there's counter play and everything like that. Whereas Mace just gives you such a solid baseline. So I'd say, play what you want, obviously, like do what you want, but know that these lists, like what Anakin is doing is different from what Mace is doing in terms of like how their activations are going to be played. So just be aware of that. But they're both obvious. Like I need to play Mace and I know he's going to be awesome, but he's really I've had so much fun playing Anakin. Like it's just been tons of fun playing that guy. So I'm excited to give Mace some more reps.
And fun fact about Mace, he is the one Jedi in the game that with a Coordinate Fire strain has the potential to one-shot Darth Vader Emperor Servant.
Wow, that's wild.
Or Chewbacca. Cool. he maxes out at 12 damage. You might not hit it, but he can.
Yeah.
There you go. That's awesome.
Thank you guys for coming on. Everyone check out Zion's Finest. I've been listening to you guys for quite a while. So
we're happy to hear that.
Thanks for coming on. This has been The Chosen One, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. Stay tuned for next week where we will be interviewing Accuser and talking about rebellious scoundrels.